Okay, it's a problem where people are traveling around the globe, and I hope you know the globe is a circle, it's a circuit, and they're telling you that the distance that they're taking, and this is a great circle around the Earth, is 23,661 miles. And what they claim is that one guy, and they're on a great circle, by the way, like sort of like the equator, so to speak. Okay, I know that people say they can't walk on water. We're just assuming they can do it. All right, whatever they're doing, they're hovering above the Earth. So let's take a look. It says A goes east. Well, my convention for east is this. He's going in that direction. A goes east 1 mile the first day, 2 miles the second day, 3 miles, and so forth and so on. So I'm going to say the eastern direction, it just looks like a sum of the integers 1 plus 2 plus 3, all up to n. And this would be the eastern distance that he goes, all right? So it's a pretty easy formula. I'm just using the sum form over there, and I get this over here. Let me just remind you that. It's going to be n over 2. A1 is n, and an is just n. You get a really simple formula. All right, so I'm gonna say I understand that part, right? And by the way, it's an important thing. All right, so A goes, 1 mile the first day, 2 miles second day, 3 miles third day, and then it goes on to say B goes west at a uniform rate of 20 miles a day. All right, 20 miles a day. So then the question is what's the western motion? And western, he's going like this. All right, so I understand that. One guy's going east, one guy's going west. Okay, so what I want to do is talk about it. And I'm pretty sure you have a pretty good idea that if he's going 20 miles a day and n represents the number of days, maybe I should outline that for you, that he would go 20n. All right? Okay, let me read that again. A and B travel around the world, the circuit being 23,600 miles. A goes east 1 mile the first day, 2 miles the second day, 3 miles the third day, and so on. Blah, blah. Got that covered. B goes west at a uniform rate of 20 miles a day. After how many days will they meet? Well, I want to point out they're starting somewhere, right? And one guy's going like this, the other guy's going like this. So they're going to meet somewhere. So when they meet, they've covered a certain distance. So let's write this down. Well, the eastern guy's distance is n plus 1 over 2. Let me point out what I mean by that. That's the eastern distance here. And the western distance is this guy. I'm going to add him on now. So what's it going to be? Plus 20n. And what's it going to equal? This thing over here, which is 2, 3, 6, 6, 1. All right? Now what's weird about this? It's going to be quadratic, which means there'll be two answers. All right? Now I don't think I want to go through the detail in solving it, but let me just simplify it a little tiny bit. This is going to be n squared plus 1. I'm multiplying both sides by 2, by the way. I'm sorry, plus n. So n squared plus n, 40n. And then I got to multiply that number there. Well, let me do it over here. It's a big number for me. That's 2. 6 times 2 is 12. 6 times 2 is 12, 13. 6, 7, 4. So again, it's a nasty looking number. 4, 7, 3, 2, 2. And then, if I did that, that would be n squared plus 41n minus 4, 7, 3, 2, 2 equals 0. Well, I'm not going to go through the detail, but what I want to claim over here, you do get two answers. This does factor, by the way. And I'm going to pretend that I factored it for you. And it's going to factor to n minus 198. And by the way, I did factor it. I'm just pretending I'm factoring this thing, but I'm actually looking at my answers to do that, by the way. So yeah, I'm cheating a little bit. So the answers over here, I want to point out, n would be 198 days, and then n would be equal to minus 239 days. Right, so the question is like, what are they talking about over here? Well, I hope you realize the easy answer to understand is 198 days. So let me outline this in the K. So they say at 198 days, they meet for the first time after leaving. All right, that's when they meet for the first time. All right. Now it goes on to say the negative number represents the past. And a sequence of speeds would be blah, 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 which should be interpreted as this over here, for a total distance of this over here, overshooting the starting line by this over here. It's tough to understand. It's tough to even write it down. B would also have traveled that. Right, and that's something in the past, by the way. All right. Again, my suggestion, let me start to erase this over here. Erase all this business over here. My suggestion to you is this. We did get two answers, but my suggestion is to read this whole thing, which I'm not going to read to you. Read it. Read. I got to be honest with you, though. Sometimes when I'm writing things down, I may think it's a convincing argument, but you may not think it's a convincing argument. You may want to come up with your own argument. What I'm saying over here is that you're given something, and you may not understand what you're being given. You're given the chance to think. And I got to be honest with you, that's one of the greatest gifts in life, where you're given the chance to think, where things aren't just, kind of like an answer and you don't have to think about it. You got to think about this, and that can be hard. So I'd say be glad you're being asked to think about the negative solution. Otherwise, you might think it was nonsense. It is not nonsense. Both of these answers are valid. All right? All right, so I think we come to the end of that. I want to be honest with you, a lot of these problems are a little difficult. I found 19 to be a little perplexing, by the way. When I say perplexing, in the thinking department, I had to think about it. And by the way, I did draw pictures, and I thought about it. And that's how I came up with that little story there. Again, I want to remind you of my name, Ron Bannon. I'll show you where that is again in the document, right over here. My email address, me as in boy, the @ symbol, nnon.us. Again, thank you for paying attention.